everyone. I did a 10K last Saturday. I thought I'd give you a wrap up and let you know how the race went. And yes, I finished, but it nearly didn't happen at all. First, I'll tell you that story, but first, if you're new here, I'm Karen, and last December, I lost my exercise mojo in a big way. After 8 months of being a couch potato, in August, I finally started to take those first steps toward being stronger and fitter again. And my first goal was to walk the 10K that happened last weekend. But how did it almost not happen? The day before, I decided to take an easy 2-mile walk, no big deal, and I was just a few blocks from home when all of a sudden I got a horrid pain in my glute. Literally a pain in the butt, and it was radiating down into my upper leg. And I said, oh my God, sciatica. And I hobbled home. The first thing I did was try to foam roll it, and it was too painful. With the pain I was in, I didn't see how I was possibly going to do an event less than 24 hours away. So I texted my cousin, and because we're both in the struggle of keeping our aging bodies active, but she's also a doctor. So I just sent her a text and said, help. She got back to me and said, yes, it's probably sciatica, and I should do hot-cold contrast treatments. I'd never done those before. I've done heating pad plenty of times, and I've used ice a lot, but I've never used the contrast back to back. And let me tell you, I'm sold. I sat on an ice pack for 15 minutes and then immediately switched to the heating pad on low for another 15. I did that 3 times, roughly 3 hours apart, and it worked beautifully. I wasn't 100% the next morning, but I walked around the block and decided, yep, I'm good to go. I put some Advil in my waist pack, but I never needed it. So, with all that drama the day before, how did the race go? And the first thing, the weather was perfect. Originally, they were calling for rain, but it ended up being just overcast, mild in the mid-60s, so it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold. And there's some pictures of the Boston skyline. The race was a lot of fun. It was the Boston 10K for women, and this was its 47th year. And I think because there were so many people who'd been doing that event multiple times over the years, there was an amazing energy at the start line. And I have to say, the adrenaline rush when that horn sounded was phenomenal. And that was what propelled me and gave me a really fast time. But the other thing that really kept me going, especially toward the end of the race, was the camaraderie that I found in the back of the pack, because I wasn't alone. There were quite a few of us, older women, who we were slowed down by age, but we weren't stopping. I met one woman who'd run that race every year since it started 47 years ago. I mean, she hadn't missed one. Yet, of course she's walking it now instead of running it. But she's still going. And everyone I talked to was like me. They'd run it multiple times, but we were all walking because our bodies couldn't tolerate running anymore. And just being there and doing it was the most important thing. I spent 2 months training for this race. In fact, I would say that 2 months ago, I talked myself out of doing it because I wasn't going to be able to run it. But I changed my mind, and I'm glad I did. And here's what I've learned in the last 2 months. And number one, that showing up is the most important thing. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to do it. Finish last doesn't matter, because the only losers are the people who aren't there. Second, the goal is the process, not the result. So what do I mean by that? The goal was to get myself moving again. It wasn't about doing the 10K. It was moving again on a regular basis and to keep going. If I would have said, okay, my goal is the 10K. I get to the 10K, I finish it, and it's over. And then what? I've achieved it. And that makes it too easy to stop. So my goal is really the process of getting out every day. And the result, do I get faster? Maybe. Or maybe not. And that doesn't matter. It's simply the fact that I'm doing it. So, the last one, oh boy. I learned this in a big way. Take care of your body. The days when I could go out and just run and not worry about warming up, I didn't have to pay attention to my hydration. If something, there was a little ache or pain somewhere, I could ignore it. But those days are over. Make sure you drink enough water. Do your physical therapy exercises. Warm up slowly. Foam roll. And if something little is bothering you, give it some TLC with some ice or some heat or both before it becomes something bigger. And in hindsight, I had been feeling some little twinges in my hip, but they were little, so I ignored them. And then it ended up not just being a lot of pain, but it could have cost me the race. So I feel very fortunate that the heat and ice combination worked, but it doesn't always. So, or it could have, if I hadn't gone out for those 2 miles before the race on the day before, I could have ended up being in that kind of pain 2 miles into the race. And then really at a point where I would have had to get someone to take me back to either to the start line or somewhere where I could get a pickup, because I was in no condition to walk anymore. I was in that much pain. So don't ignore little pains. Use the ice. A little heat and ice can go a long way. So what's next? I feel really good and I want to keep going. So I've signed up for a 4-miler on Thanksgiving morning, and I'm going to start training for that. And then I also have a second challenge for the month, but I'll talk about that a little more in another video. So before I sign off, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And also, I'd love to know what keeps you going, what keeps you moving. And I'd like to know. And if you're feeling like you're stuck on the couch and you can't get yourself moving, how can I help? So let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And have a nice day. Get out there and take a walk. And I will see you, and I'll see you soon.